So last year, I start to record my life through a journal. It is not because I found out that journaling is really helpful at that time, because when I look at into the lot of self improvement concept, I found out that journaling is a good habit that we could build in order to reflect our own self by ourselves. So that is why I really start to journaling uh, at that time.
Last year, I started recording my life through a journal. It wasn't because I already knew journaling was helpful, but when I explored various self improvement concepts, I realized that journaling is a great habit for self reflection. That's why I decided to start journaling. Feedback and tips. One, clarity. Avoid repeating phrases like at that time unnecessarily. Use realized instead of found out for a smoother tone. Two, grammar. Use recording instead of to record for better flow. Reflect on ourselves is clearer than reflect our own selves. Three, structure. Combine ideas logically to make the sentence flow naturally. You're doing great. Just work on simplifying sentences and avoiding repetition.
So when it comes to journaling, I really didn't have any type of idea about what kind of things I should journal. So basically, I thought that the basic purpose of journal is recording how we spend our day. So at that time, basically, I really didn't have any type of clear idea about how we should or what kind of thing we should journal about, because at the beginning I was only thought about journaling is recording how we spend our day. So at the initially I followed that step, and then later when I realized and researched about this journaling and the journaling techniques, I found out that there are several ways we can do the journal, like the reflective journal where we reflect our thoughts and assess the thought whether it is viable or not. And sometimes we could use our journal to set and assess our progress to our goals. Likewise, the people are actually using journals for different reasons. Since I initially didn't have any type of clear idea, I followed the formal structure of journaling, which is recording how I spent my day.
At that time, I didn't have a clear idea about what or how to journal. In the beginning, I thought journaling was just about recording how we spend our day. So I started with that approach. Later, as I researched more about journaling and its technique, I discovered that there are many ways to use a journal. For example, reflective journaling helps us assess our thoughts and determine if they are viable. People also use journals to set goals and track their progress. Since I didn't have much knowledge initially, I stuck to the basic structure of my day. Feedback and tips. 1. Clarity. Avoid repeating phrases like how we should unnecessarily. Simplify ideas into shorter, clearer sentences. 2. Grammar. Use didn't have a clear idea instead of didn't have any type of clear idea for conciseness. Replace research about with research or research on for proper usage. 3. Flow. Combine related ideas logically to improve readability.
So today, when I actually scroll through the social media, I have seen that a lot of people are preparing for the 2025, because this is the last month of 2024, and some people are actually shared about the things they achieved in previous year, and some people are sharing stories about they are going to do well in 2025 and what are their plans to the next year. Likewise, personally for me, I really didn't have any, praise about myself, how I perform in this year. So that is why today I think to myself that I will revisit my journal and look at how I spend my year from the beginning. So with that intention, I actually have revisited my journal today.
Today, while scrolling through social media, I noticed that many people have started preparing for 2025 since this is the last month of 2024. Some are sharing their achievements from the past year, while others are posting about their plans and goals for the next year. Personally, I don't feel I have much to praise myself for regarding how I performed this year. That's why I decided to revisit my journal and reflect on how I spent my year from the beginning. With that intention, I went through my journal today. Feedback and tips. Avoid repeating phrases like, what are their plans for, unnecessarily. Use reflect on instead of look at for more precise expression. Use didn't feel I have much to praise instead of didn't have any I mean praise for smoother phrasing. Replace think to myself that I will with decided to for simplicity. Combine ideas logically to improve readability and avoid redundancy.
So, like I mentioned you earlier, when I scroll my Facebook feed in this morning, or when I saw how other people share their achievement in this year, I felt myself that I really didn't achieve anything, because most of the time I am not a person who share my life in social media very much, because I rarely post on the Facebook. So I really didn't see myself as I am progressing. That is why I feel really sad about myself when I see how other people post about their progress in social media. So when I look back and see my journal, what I have found out is really fascinating, because at the beginning of this year, I had some small achievement, even though they are not very significant, like I planned at the initial step in my year, because I have set some goals beginning of this year, but even though right now we come to end of this year, I feel like I am not achieved them in fully. But yet I realize that when I read back and visit my journal, I have seen that I made some progress and achieved a small amount of progress. So that actually helped to make me feel good about myself than regretting about my current self by looking at the other people.
Like I mentioned earlier, while scrolling through my Facebook feed this morning, I saw people sharing their achievements from this year. It made me feel like I hadn't achieved anything because I'm not someone who shares much about my life on social media. I rarely post on Facebook, so I don't often see my own progress. That's why I felt sad about myself when I saw others posting about their accomplishments. However, when I looked back at my journal, I found something fascinating. At the beginning of the year, I had some small achievements, even though they weren't very significant compared to the goals I set. Although I haven't fully achieved those goals, as the year ends, I realize that I've made some progress. Reading through my journal reminded me that I've achieved small but meaningful steps. This helped me feel better about myself instead of regretting where I am by comparing myself to others. Feedback and tips. Avoid overusing phrases like when I saw or because. Use reminded me instead of helped to make me feel for smoother phrasing. Replace I felt myself that with I felt like. Use goals I set at the beginning of the year instead of set some goals beginning of this year for better flow. Break long sentences into smaller ones to improve readability. You're improving steadily. Keep focusing on sentence structure and avoiding repetition.
Okay, let me share with you an example. Right now, as you may know that I am actually have kind of fond toward the graphic designing. So I am involving designing social media posts and as well as other graphic designing content in our university. So at the beginning of the year, I actually record in my journal how it hard for me to design a certain type of things in the university, because at that time I really didn't have any clear idea or the skill to the graphic designing. Yet I participated to the this graphic designing community as a member in order to improve my skills. In my journal, actually, I have mentioned that how I went through these hardships and how I ask other people how to do a certain things in the graphic designing, and likewise how I refer to these YouTube videos and spending hours and hours of the day by following these graphic designing tutorials. Likewise, so then it actually sends me that now I am kind of able to create the social media post and the other graphic designing elements with easier effort than my previous one, because at the beginning I really didn't have this easiness or this ability to do the designing very quickly. But right now, when I look back at my beginning and compare it to me right now, I feel like I made a significant amount of progress in my life, because even though I really didn't notice, because I still comparing myself with the people who are doing their best in social media. Because whenever I scroll through the social media, when I see a good design, it actually feels me really jealous toward other person and feel sad about myself that not being able to create a good design like that. But today, when I go back and revisit my old memories, I found out that I also made a significant improvement. That actually helps me to feel good about myself.
Let me share an example with you. As you may know, I've developed a fondness for graphic design. Right now, I'm involved in designing social media posts and other graphic content for our university. At the beginning of the year, I recorded in my journal how hard it was for me to design certain things for the university. At that time, I didn't have a clear idea or the necessary skills for graphic design. Despite this, I joined the graphic design community as a member to improve my skills. In my journal, I wrote about the hardships I faced, like asking others for help and spending hours watching YouTube tutorials to learn graphic design techniques. Over time, I dedicated a lot of effort to practicing. And now I can create social media posts and other graphic elements with much less effort than before. Looking back, I realize I've made significant progress. At the beginning, I struggled a lot, but now I can design much more easily. However, I often don't notice this improvement because I compare myself to others on social media. When I see impressive designs, I feel jealous and sad that I can't create something as good. But today, revisiting my old memories and journal entries, I've realized how far I've come. This reflection has helped me feel better about myself. Feedback and tips. Replace "it hard for me to design a certain type of things" with "how hard it was for me to design certain things." Avoid phrases like "it actually feels me really jealous." Instead, use "it makes me feel jealous." Use "I didn't have a clear idea" instead of "I really didn't have any clear idea." Replace "feel sad about myself that not being able to" with "feel sad about not being able to." Break down long sentences into smaller, more concise ones for better readability.
In this last month of 2024, what I want to share with you guys is, in your life also there might be situations and places where you feel that you are not making any progress, or you didn't meet your expected goals. Because at the beginning of this year, I also had this goal of becoming a good graphic designer. Yet I believe in myself that I not meet this goal as I expected. I really discouraged about the effort that I took, and as well as I feel really less about myself. But like I mentioned in early example, when I look back into my memories of my journal and read through my journal entries, I realized that how much progress I have made, even though they are little progress than my expectation and my expected level. I am progressing. I think you guys also should have tried out the journaling if you are not doing a journaling, because at a certain point in your life, when you feel really down about yourself, this might be really helpful. Because personally, I know that since I am going through this a tough situation in my life, whenever you feel down about yourself, you just have to revisit your journal and see where you went wrong. If you are doing a certain things in a wrong way, or if you not, if you are feel like you are doing a less, or you can't be happy about your performance, go back to your journal and see how much effort you give, how much effort you gave to your work, or how much effort you gave to achieve your goals. And then you will realize that how much effort you have given, and eventually you will start to feel good about yourself. So at the last thing I want to say is, do the journaling, and it will actually help you to improve yourself than you are thinking about it right now.
In this last month of 2024, I want to share something with you. In life, There might be times when you feel like you're not making progress or haven't achieved your goals. And at the beginning of this year, I had the goal of becoming a good graphic designer. But I felt like I didn't meet this goal as I expected, which left me discouraged and feeling less confident about myself. However, as I mentioned earlier, when I revisited my journal and read through my entries, I realized how much progress I've actually made. Even though it's less than what I initially hoped for, I am still progressing. That's why I think journaling can be incredibly helpful. If you're not journaling yet, you should give it a try. At some point in life, when you feel down or doubt yourself, revisiting your journal can really help. It allows you to reflect on where you went wrong, what you've been doing, and how much effort you've put into achieving your goals. This can remind you of your progress and make you feel better about yourself. So my advice is to start journaling. It can truly help you improve and see yourself in a better light than you might think right now. Feedback and tips. Use there might be times instead of there might be a situations and places. Replace I really discouraged about with I felt discouraged about. Use you should try journaling instead of you should have tried out the journaling. Avoid repetitive phrases like really, really, really helpful. Break long sentences into shorter, more impactful ones for better readability.
So, can you give me some advice regarding, since I'm, right now entering into the 2025? So, what type of journaling action we could take in order to make the 2025 is a better year?
To make 2025 a better year through journaling, here are a few practical steps. 1. Set clear goals. Start by writing down your goals for the year. Break them into categories like personal growth, career, health, and relationships. Be specific and realistic. Daily reflections. At the end of each day, jot down what went well, what didn't, and what you learned. This helps you stay mindful and track progress. Weekly reviews. Dedicate time each week to review your journal. Reflect on what you accomplished, what needs improvement, and how you feel about your progress. Gratitude journaling. Write down 3 things you're grateful for every day. This practice can boost positivity and motivation. Habit tracking. Use your journal to track habits you want to build or break. Create a simple chart to monitor your consistency, vision boards or lists. Add visuals or write about your dreams for the year. Revisit these entries to stay inspired. Problem-solving pages. When you face challenges, write about them. Break them into smaller steps. Brainstorm solutions, and reflect on how to overcome them. Journaling is most effective when it's consistent and tailored to your needs. Find a rhythm that works for you, and let it be a tool for reflection and growth.